Welcome to my overview on supporting ePortfolio implementations through webinars. I decided to speak about this topic because while webinars are not something new, we are still exploring effective ways of delivering short training sessions online that are not just input-oriented but also engage participants. I will be using myportfolio.school.nz as an example for implementing a webinar series. MyPortfolio, which runs on Mahara, is the national ePortfolio service that is available for free to all New Zealand schools. The Ministry of Education supports it and made it possible to run this webinar series. Back in 2011 and 12, we offered so-called MyPortfolio taster sessions to schools interested in getting started. These 2-hour sessions allowed us to go over the technical basics of using MyPortfolio. However, it was not possible to go into depth and explore pedagogical uses. So while school registrations on MyPortfolio increased very quickly as a result of the taster sessions, we did not see the adoption of the ePortfolio model across the entire schools. Therefore, the ministry wanted to have different training offered to support teachers who had mastered the basics to assist them further making the most out of their ePortfolios. So besides having more experienced participants in the program, we had a lot of first-time users and those that have not yet started with portfolios. And that was fine because all the sessions could be used on any level where the participants were. In order to select then as next step the content for the 19 sessions, we asked our teacher user community. Since we had run taster sessions before and also provided professional development for schools on an individual basis, we also knew common questions and could put those on the list of potential topics. In the sessions, we looked at the 3 big user groups: students, teachers, and administrators. All of them have their unique perspective, and we wanted to empower our participants to use MyPortfolio in a number of different ways. Our facilitators, altogether there were 4, had a range of different backgrounds and vantage points, making it possible for us to divide up the topics so that we could play to our strength, being able to talk about our topics confidently. And so everybody chose something that they had also already experienced. And as those of you who organize online events know, there is a fair bit of logistics involved to have everything run smoothly. We were able to use the service by the ministry to announce the events, manage participants, and also familiarize them with the technology. And the software also allowed us to perform user registration. Since the platform was used for other ministry-offered training, some participants may have even already had a login and thus were familiar with the technology. We went with the service as it was to make our life, especially in regards to registration, easier. However, we did not use it to communicate with the teachers who had questions for the webinars or who had expressed interest, but rather used email. One email account was created that got emails then sent to facilitators so that we could respond timely. The majority of our trainers were new to facilitating webinars, and that was a challenge. However, they were seasoned teachers and also embraced new teaching and learning methods. Therefore, before we started the webinar series, we organized a session for everyone to explore the software, ask questions, and learn of do's and don'ts. And also during the sessions themselves, we usually had a moderator who made sure that the recordings were started, watched the chat for questions, replied directly if there was a small question, posted related links, or notified a facilitator if users had any questions. Already from the start, we knew that it was not possible for all interested teachers to attend the webinar sessions, as we had to make a decision on a day in the week and a time. For those that couldn't attend, all sessions were recorded and are now available directly on MyPortfolio. But we did not only put the recordings online. We also uploaded or linked slides and any other supporting documents that were mentioned during the sessions. Since the sessions cover a big variety of how to integrate ePortfolios into teaching practice, the recordings will be usable for quite some time to come. So what were some of the good things? Well, the webinars were well liked and we had a number of people attending multiple sessions. It was possible for us to reach teachers across the country without having to worry about travel costs. Furthermore, we now have a big pool of resources. On the other hand, though, if we offer webinars again, we will most likely look for doing the registration of users differently, as the system that we used was rather cumbersome. Already after the first few sessions, we switched from using the built-in feedback tool to a different one for ease of use and more control. We found it important to gather feedback from our participants on the webinars, as well as also feedback from the facilitators. Therefore, we had a feedback questionnaire for each webinar for the participants, and also a feedback round partly through the webinar series with all facilitators to make changes in the program. And here you can see a few comments that we received from participants in the webinars. We were fortunate that the technology played well most of the time, and that we also had small enough numbers to give participants audio privileges most of the time, making it easier for them to ask questions. So in a nutshell, we can say that the webinar series was successful because we delivered workshops that were timely, relevant, and also offered insight for both new and more advanced users of my portfolio. We will reach many more people through having made the recordings available and thus directly build a pool of on-demand training resources.